Touchdown, Florida State. Hey, Seminole fans, it's time for another edition of the Osceola Podcast.
A busy time on the recruiting calendar for Mike Norvell and the Florida State football staff. June is camp season across college football. Thanks for listening to the podcast. We are joined by the Osceola's recruiting analyst, Charles Fishbein. He's a founder and president of Elite Scouting Services. And I'm the Osceola's editor, Bob Ferranti. Fish, appreciate you joining us.
I appreciate you having me. That was a great little intro there.
Keep it short and sweet and jump right in, right?
Exactly.
So good times here on the recruiting trail, and coaches have been busy. Mike Norvell's done a really good job, I think, as well as Alex Atkins, of bringing in offensive linemen to Tallahassee to evaluate. You were at the mega camp on Sunday, and you've had a chance to see film of a lot of these guys, the Florida prospects, the Southeast prospects. I know one of the ones you like a lot is Roderick Kearney. He's a 4-star tackle from Orange Park. Made a lot of visits to FSU's campus through the years. Why do you view Roderick as one of the best OL out there in the state right now?
My first real good look at him was at the Under Armour Combine, and just the way he handled himself. And it didn't matter who they put in front of him. He took to that challenge. You want to see guys compete at these events. He was willing to go out there and compete. He did that at a very high level, and his athletic ability and his ability to move laterally and take on speed rushers and adjust to what they're doing. And we're going to talk about another gentleman in a little bit that was able to do that great at their mega camp. They need athleticism on that O-line. And they've done that. They've brought in a little by little, and these guys like Kearney change that room and take it from, that 6-7, win window to these guys like Kearney are all conference type players, eventually could possibly be all Americans. So when you improve the offensive line, that changes your whole offense. The coach could call different plays. They could open up the playbook. They don't have to do as much with their protections in pass blocking skill sets. So it helps you out when you could go and block guys straight up and not need so much help from your running backs and tight ends and the rest of the guys on the offense.
Lots of good prospects. I know one of the guys who has really jumped out there on the radar is a 2024 offensive tackle, but Jimothy Lewis is a name to remember. Not in this cycle, not in the 2023 cycle, but he is a big man and already gathering a number of scholarship offers. What are your thoughts on Jimothy as well as some of those other linemen who are at the camp?
Yeah, Florida State made a big run for Marius Mims, came up short a second time with him. This kid's kind of in that same boat, just a guy that you're going to see play on Sundays. I was talking to a coach today that's an offensive line coach in high school, and we were just talking about stuff at a camp. The one thing that Jimothy does is he anticipates movement by the defensive lineman before they do it. You could tell he has a high football IQ, but he also has athleticism that if the guy comes and puts a big rush up the field and then comes back and swims back inside, he already makes the move to where the guy's going to be. It was truly remarkable at the camp, and you see it on some of the footage that we filmed at the camp, that his ability to change direction, flip his hips. I mean, he moves almost like a true athlete, like guys that play corner or wide receiver or even special defensive ends. That's what makes him so special as an offensive tackle, is that he's able to adjust to whatever move that the guy in front of him is able to do. So no matter what type of speed rusher he faces, he has the agility to handle those type of guys. And when you could do what he does, these are the guys that are going to make a lot of NIL money in college football. And then one day this kid's going to be making a lot of money in the NFL.
NIL opportunities are there, whether the NCAA has any enforcement power or there are any guardrails out there. It's always interesting storyline in the brave new world that we have. Well, we appreciate the Osceola subscribers for giving us some of these questions. And let's go to Noel Fan 82. He's asking about a few prospects who have received offers from Mike Norvell and the staff of late. Quarterbacks Brock Glenn from Memphis, Ricky Collins from Baton Rouge. Fish, you've had a chance to kind of look at both of those guys. What are your thoughts on them?
Yeah, I got to take a look at both of them. The Glenn kid, you could tell he has a big arm and he likes to really push the ball down the field. You watch his highlight film, and it is highlights, so I always like to warn fans that doesn't tell the whole story, but you can tell he really likes to push the ball down the field. What's very impressive is when he's rolling to his right or left and he's throwing on the run, he's able to square his shoulders, and he's very mechanically sound. He's able to get the ball out and put the ball right where the receiver catches it and runs up the field. I think a lot of times everybody looks at the big arm on these guys, but a lot of quarterbacks that have big arms aren't the best quarterbacks always. It's that ability to anticipate where the receiver is going to be, put the ball on the mark, and give them a chance after the catch to make a play. A lot of guys can put the ball right on the receiver, but they have to fall. They fall down, or they can't adjust well to the ball because it's poorly thrown. Glenn does a great job of really anticipating how the receiver is going to react, get the ball in the position where he could catch it and run up the field and make plays after the catch. I of all the guys that I watched between him, Collins, and also Parsons, I thought he's the most polished and best of the quarterbacks. As far as potential, Collins and Parsons, I think, are kind of similar. You could see, though, Collins has very good pocket presence. Even when he's about to get hit, he still can release the ball. He keeps his eyes down the field. He anticipates well. He has a very good arm. My only concern is, and it's kind of the same way with Parsons, is they look at that first option. I want to see these guys learn how to read the field, see their second, third, fourth options, even be able to dump it off to a running back if they have to. You know, there's one saying, you can't go broke taking a profit. These quarterbacks have to learn that the big play, you see it in the high school level, they have all the time in the world to make those plays. That time's not going to be there in college. Those windows close. So sometimes taking the 5-yard dump off to the running back or a short pass to a wide receiver is just as good as a big play, because you keep the chains moving, you stay in front of the chains, and that's how you have success. Collins and Parsons are not as good as Glenn at that part of the game right now. They could be down the road. They have to learn how to, really trust everybody on the field, that just because your best receiver's out in the route and that's the guy who you feel comfortable to, trust your other guys that they can make plays too.
Good question there. And I think you kind of answered my next one of who you would pick first. And I think you went with Brock Glenn. So
yeah.
Let's move over to linebacker. Woodside Noel is curious about the linebacker board, and just to kind of set you up, Florida State does not have a linebacker commitment yet. They do have 6 commitments, but who have you seen film of that you like among the linebackers in Florida and the Southeast?
I mean, the 2 linebackers, the one of them that I really like is the Lewis kid out of you got the Lewis kid out of Lake Brantley High School. Andrew Harris out of Lake Brantley. I know that Florida State, I don't know if they've backed off on him, because I think the brother and him are kind of a package deal. I really like the 2 of them. Michael's not as good as Andrew, but he's a very good player. The best linebacker in the state's Malik Bryant, the kid out of Orlando Jones, who played linebacker at IMG last year, went back to Orlando Jones to be with his teammates. Troy Bowles out of Tampa Jesuits, another kid I really like. His father, I believe, is the Tampa Bay Bucks head coach now. So that history of being able to play, having the coaching, his father being a coach and having football in his background is very big. But right now it doesn't look like FSU is going after a lot of the in-state kids. Most of the guys they're looking at are out-of-state kids. One of the kids, Clavel, that just committed to North Carolina the other day. I know that was a kid they were looking at. They're also looking at a linebacker out of California. It's one of those things, I think, as the summer winds down, that maybe their board will clear up. But right now it doesn't look like there's any kids in state that they're really focusing on.
Okay, one of the ones I'm curious about, you can never have enough defensive linemen, and obviously Robert Cooper, Fabian Lovett are guys who we think will move on after this 2022 season. So defensive line, especially tackle, is always important. And any guys on the board who've impressed you?
The defensive tackle position, you've seen the kid Jordan Hall he's out of Jacksonville. He was at the Lee camp. I didn't get the chance to go to the Lee camp, but from everybody that saw him at that camp, realized what I saw on film. I think he's the best defensive tackle in the state. He's probably a 5-star kid, and Florida State has it in with him. He's like Florida State all along. You look at him and you look at the kid from North Carolina that they have committed. If they pull those two, you can't ask much more. I mean, Odell would be recruiting basically at the national championship level that he did when it was in 2013 with Timmy Jernigan, Eddie Goldman. That's what these type of guys, the problem is, Bob, these guys don't get the fans excited because O-line, D-line, they're not flashy. They're not, people, they want the wide receivers, the running backs. But let's be honest, until FSU gets back to being strong up front, it doesn't matter who they recruit at those other positions. And Jordan Hall, the Sampson kid from North Carolina, that brings them that much closer to competing not only for an ACC championship, but potentially a national championship down the road. Those two guys, I think, are big-time gets. And if Hall commits, and I think they have a very good shot at landing this kid, and they already have the Sampson kid committed from North Carolina, I don't think you could ask much more from Odell Haggins.
Yeah, Odell's done a great job these past few years through some difficult times, some tough win-loss records. It's harder to bring guys to Tallahassee, to say the least. Okay, last question from our subscribers. Seminole72 is asking about the receiver board. Now, Florida State has 2 commits, Bendrevius Jacobs and Darren Lawrence. Maybe your thoughts on those two, and also it's a board that, hey, need guys who can catch. It's pretty simple. If you can catch, come on to Tallahassee, but who should the Florida State staff be really looking at?
I mean, one, they had to throw a big net. They've done that. Don't look at, they need 4 in the class. They already got 2 in the class. So that's a good thing. I think they're in a position. We've talked about this. I think Atkins has done a very good job of this with the offensive line, is that you take guys and you give yourself a chance to recruit over those guys that are already in the class. They're very good, the Jacobs kid and the Lawrence kid. But now they could be very selective and patient. They don't have to go out and recruit 10 guys to land 2. They could focus on Jalen Brown, Hakeem Williams, Shelton Sampson, and William Foles. Those are their top 4 guys on their board. If they land one of those 4 with the other 2 they have, it's a good class. They land 2 of the 4, then you know what, you're talking about a great class. So they've put themselves in position. The main thing is someone like Jalen Williams, who's been on campus a lot. He likes FSU a lot. They're playing catch up now. This was a kid that, they were in the driver's seat last year. Now they're playing catch up. But if he keeps coming back on campus, they say follow the visits. He's going to be on campus again. That'll be huge for them. The Shelton Sampson kid, he's from New Orleans or Louisiana, Baton Rouge. I'm always skeptical about those guys because, one, he's in the state of Louisiana, and those SEC schools are going to do whatever it takes to keep him in that area. But supposedly FSU has one of the former coaches on their staff now, and they have some ties to this kid. So he would be a big time get, especially coming out of Louisiana. I think the last time FSU landed a receiver out of Louisiana, his name was Talman Gardner, but it's been a while. So
yeah, Talman worked out pretty well for So let's kind of set the table. Florida State has 6 commitments right now for 2023. Florida has 5, Miami has 5, Clemson has 8. So everybody's kind of building that class right now and using these camps, building relationships. What are your thoughts now? Should we expect commitments to come this summer through these various camps? Or do you think prospects are sort of evaluating how the team performs in the fall? They're going to kind of take a wait and see approach and then maybe make some commitments during their official or unofficial visits?
I think the second tier kids will start pulling the trigger just to take their spots in classes because they could always switch later on. But you see with the portal now and, the value of the NIL that money it's probably not going to be there for everybody. Unless you're a big time kid, you're not going to get one of those big deals. So those second tier kids, I think you'll see Florida State probably around 10 or 11 leave themselves about 13 or 14 spots for the following National Signing Day. But some of those will be filled out by transfers as well. So I think you'll see Florida State around 10 or 11 kids committed by the end of this summer going into fall.
Okay, well, that would be good position for the Seminoles as they go into week 0 and then a big week 1 with LSU over in New Orleans.
Yep.
All right, so just to kind of set you the table for what's to come here in the next few weeks, Sunday on the Florida State campus will be another individual camp. Wednesday, a big man camp with some 7-on-7s. Friday, individual and kicking. And then next Saturday, individual and quarterbacks. So lots of busy days ahead for the staff as they evaluate prospects at all different position groups. We'll have full coverage here on the Osceola throughout the summer. And of course, you can always read Fish's position by position look, all the way through quarterbacks, through defense, who he's liked on all those position groups, not just those who have committed, those 6, but also the other guys who are out there and available. Well, Fish, we appreciate you joining us, and we'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, for sure. Tell Jerry that I definitely want him to pay for me to come up to do the kickers and punters, man. That has to be done. That's worth every dollar he spends.
If you are cooking, there's a bed at the Cutts household.
I told you I could cook really well, man. I think they'll be blown away. He may tell me to stop doing the recruiting stuff and hire me full-time as a chef at his house. So.
All right. Well, we can keep going with football and food, but we appreciate y'all listening. Thanks for checking out the Osceola. Take care. Have a good one.
Alumni Hall, where you'll find officially licensed FSU gear for the entire family, including brands like Nike and Champion, plus great gifts for your favorite Seminole and home decor too. Miss some of the old Seminole throwback logos? Check out our College Vault collection. Shop online at alumnihall.com and let our great customer sales team ship to you within days, or pick up in store in Tallahassee. You'll find us in the Miracle Plaza Shopping Center on Thomasville Road. Students and military get 10% off in store, and Osceola subscribers get 20% off in store and online with their digital membership cards. Alumni Hall.
Hope you enjoyed this edition of the Osceola Podcast. Stay tuned for the next edition coming soon at theosceola.com.